The heart and the mind is a little bit like a married couple, right? For most of us, it's a dysfunctional relationship. Hey, I've been in a lot of mental and inner conflict over the last couple of days and weeks. And what I really noticed is that it takes some time to be back in line with our soul, that it starts trusting us again. Or the heart and the mind is a little bit like a married couple, right? For most of us, it's a dysfunctional relationship, and it's at a point where they sit on the same couch with a lot of resistance, not talking anymore. And that's where we are at, right? Our masculine and our feminine are completely unintegrated, which then leads to indulgence. The feminine aspect, energy aspect of us goes into indulgence, into hedonism, into consumption, into addiction. And our masculine aspect goes into, is also of course frustrated because there's no love in their union, that he goes off and works super hard, clings to certain things, and goes out of balance as well. And what I find is that initially the heart or the soul must take, or really wants to take, radical action to free itself from the self-created prison where the mind was ruling or dominating. And this radical action, of course, is a breaking out, so it can break things and it can also hurt things. But eventually, or if we have the capacity, immediately, we don't even need to go through that, they come into balance. And when they come into balance, slowly, once the mind doesn't think it's a compass and acts based off its thoughts, but listens to the heart and uses the heart as a compass and is put into its place, which is the executor of the heart, the executing on the heart's wish, then the heart can start trusting the mind again, and the heart is fulfilled with the love of the heart, and they become unified again and work cohesively. And at that point, we don't have to fear. We can let our guards down and don't have to fight for our soul so much anymore. So I noticed how my mind was still in kind of a fight or flight mode, or my nervous system in an inner conflict, because it was like, oh, I don't like this, and I want to push this away, I want to make time. And just slowly, while I'm here alone, the reality is slowly starting to seep in and sink in, that it's okay. Like, you can take a couple steps back, you can slow down, like, there's enough time for everything in the day. Like, you don't need to cut anything out or make radical changes. Like, it's fine. Like, we are arriving. Like, you've made it. It's all gonna. It's exactly how it's meant to be, and all of these things are beautiful. Because before, the mind is constantly thinking, oh, something is wrong here. Because for such a long time, you could argue that something was wrong. We were neglecting our heart and soul, but yeah, once we stop neglecting our heart and soul and start integrating it and giving it the time, energy, and space it deserves to flourish, it still may take some time until our heart starts trusting us. And at that point, slowly peace and acceptance of many of the things that have hurt us or have imprisoned us beforehand can come in. And we stop having such reactions to them, and we can start to appreciate them even. So, as an example, I needed to resist the business I was running so hard, because my mind was clinging to it so hard that the resistance was necessary to break off the shackles that were imprisoning me and holding me to a business that was created from the ego mind and not from the heart. So that resistance was very valid and useful in that time. But this brute force resistance breaking out, at some point it won't be necessary anymore, and we can act with, and we can free ourselves and relinquish old unserving things, much more gracefully without so much tug and war, because it's all self-created, right? I could have easily simply said I let go of the business, but because we were so attached, it's creating that tug and war of resistance and attachment, holding on and pushing away. So those are residual conditionings that now slowly get released as I am in a safe space that is right now in alignment with my soul. And I can slowly relax and say, hey, actually, you know what? It's fine to have 1 hour a day or 2 hours per day of guidance calls I'm giving or coaching calls. They don't take away anymore from the time I want to spend on YouTube and meditation and going inwards. In the past, with my business, I was working 10 to 12 hour days, so obviously it was taking away. But that is the power of mindfulness, becoming present and aware that the threat that was previously traumatizing us or was imprisoning us is no longer there anymore. Like, this is what we do as a collective. We don't actually react or respond to what is actually happening, but what is happening is triggering stuff from our past, and then we are reacting to that. And that's where all overreactions come from. It's never an overreaction, it's always an appropriate reaction, but not to the environment of what is happening, but to what is triggered internally. So when maybe in the past someone has cheated on us with our best friend or whatever, and we haven't really processed that and felt through that, and now the new romantic partner we have is simply meeting up with a friend or is just calling a mutual friend, and then immediately we are triggered by that and we immediately go into paranoia and think, oh my gosh, is this gonna be the same scenario where they are cheating on us? Or we may not even be conscious of that. That external thing is triggering something unprocessed from our past, and it's possible to process that and be free from that and actually come back into contact with reality as it is right now. And by that we relinquish the subconscious self-sabotaging patterns which will recreate that situation, because if we don't process it, we will be so paranoid and needy that at the end our partner may end up losing interest in us, and therefore it will be a self-fulfilling prophecy, that fear. So anyway, there was a little side tangent. Now when we come into alignment with our soul, no matter if it's with our life purpose, with our spiritual practice, with our lifestyle, with our romantic partner, whatever it may take some time of really relaxing into that safe space we've arrived at and allowing us to perceive it and be with it and open to it and let that really touch our heart, let it in, right? That is what heals us. And then we see that harmony has always been. And all chaos in our life, even though it looked like it was so evident and external and happening to us, actually there was eternal peace always, has always been, and could not have been otherwise, but we created all the turmoil internally, and then that was reflected externally, or we attracted that externally. Now, of course, that can be taken with a grain of salt, because ultimately it's no one's fault. It's all causes and conditionings going back to the beginning of time. You could say children, how did they attract how their parents maybe treating them, but that's a whole different deep talk. So I'll leave you with that and allow yourself to fully relax into the blessings you are receiving, so they may touch your heart and open you to the beauty of what is now. If you've been fortunate to break out of the ego creations of the mind and land in the safe space of the heart, and in the communication and communion and union of the heart and mind, creating a harmonious and cohesive life. Relax into that. Allow the blessing to touch you. and become the blessing for the world.